Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com. This will be my top 10 stocks as we head into Tuesday, May 24th. This will be a technical analysis breakdown. So if you're someone that uses charts within your trading, or maybe you're just interested in learning more about charts and how they can be used to help make good decisions as a trader, this will be a video for you. Before I get to the watch list, I first want to personally invite you to get signed up for this free live online class here that I'm offering in a couple of weeks. So if you're liking what you see here and you want to learn more about this tool and how it can be used to build consistency, then definitely get signed up for the free class. If you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down in the description box. If you're watching at my site, there's an area right there on the webpage that you can click to get signed up. So like I said, if you're enjoying what you see and you want to learn more, certainly get signed up for the free class. First, a couple of clarification points. That price you see there will still be moving around, and then the candlesticks over here you see will still be moving around because the market is still open for a small amount of time. I like to do these videos when the market is still open because sometimes we can capture some really interesting late day price movement. So just keep that in mind. But the market is also close enough to being done for the day where everything I talk about will still be relevant as we head into Tuesday. And then next, I'll be using the 30-minute time frame. So for you beginners out there, what that means is that each one of these candlesticks, as they're called, represents 30 minutes worth of time. So stock number one here, CBIO, and a very, very impressive day. Massive volume, nice price movement, especially after the gap up. It's always one of those situations where, you know, a stock gaps up and you got to question, is this going to be a gap where it just all of a sudden completely falls apart? And absolutely not. This one has made a nice move all day long. Now, there was a pullback in the afternoon, but as I speak right now, you can see the last 30 minutes is taking shape nice here. Good green candle. So let's map out some key levels to watch moving forward. From a pullback standpoint, the level that stands out to me, so if you do like to play pullbacks, right there at $1.10 seems to be a good quality area of support that you could potentially build some trade plans around. And then the level here that I think most breakout players are going to be watching, and I emphasize that because when a lot of people are watching the same levels and wondering the same things. Of course, there are no guarantees, but doesn't make it plausible, doesn't make it valid to think that if the price comes up to $1.40 and can break above it, that break right there could create some upside buying pressure. Yeah, that is absolutely a plausible thought process to have. So if you like to play more so breakouts, then $1.40 in my mind is going to be that main level to watch. But overall, you got to like the overall pattern too. You got that big move there. You have this pullback. So from a pattern standpoint, have a nice little bull flag pattern. So certainly if you like to play this price range, this one belongs on your watch list. Next one, GOVX. Very, very impressive day, especially when Friday, which you can see back here, was already a good solid day. Made that big move. So again, it's one of those things where, okay, it's made a great move, but was this just going to be a one-day wonder where the next day everything falls apart or not? And no, was not a one-day wonder. Got more continuation today. So overall, the uptrend continues. And pretty crazy to think that not that long ago, this thing was down below $1, and now it's, knocking on the door of $3. But overall, good solid movement, and updates certainly need to be made. So one of the newest levels to watch moving forward from a support standpoint, going to be right there at $2.25. So if you're a pullback player, $2.25 is a very interesting level. And then as far as breakouts are concerned, then it's all about that level there. So once again, going back to self-fulfilling prophecy, that talking point right there at 285. So by no means am I trying to imply that I have a great talent or this is some sort of special discovery to draw that red line right there. I assure you, people around the world have noticed that on two separate occasions, the price got rejected from that area. So there's going to be a lot of people watching that area. Again, like I said, are there guarantees? No. But is it plausible to think that if the price goes up there and breaks up through it, that break could create additional buying pressure? That is certainly a plausible thought process to have. But overall, and then once more from the pattern perspective, have a nice little bull flag here once again. So definitely keep an eye on it if you like to play this price range and if you like to play these sorts of patterns. Next one here, SIGA. So summarizing just today in and of itself, a total gap and trap. What do I mean by that? Well, the price closed right there on Friday, opened up right here, so hence the gap up. And then after that, true story. There were some poor souls that were buying up around that area, and then from there, it just sank and sank and sank. So yes, today, individually, a very rough day. Now, I keep emphasizing today because if you take a step back and look at multiple days, the overall trend, believe it or not, is still up. And the quickest way and easiest way to see that is to check these moving averages. And you can see both the 50 period and 200 period moving average have upward slopes to them. And really, the price still isn't that close to the 50 period moving average. Now, yes, it's gotten closer compared to where it was up here, but still, it's not like it's even, doing battle or testing that 50 period moving average. Again, this is all a matter of perspective because I understand if you're a day trader and you bought right there and your plan was to buy and sell within 7 minutes, well then yes, from that angle, the chart is a train wreck. However, assuming you care about more so the bigger picture point of view, even with the bigger pullback today, technically speaking, the price does still have plenty of opportunity to chip away and build a higher base, and that's how big picture uptrends are constructed, just higher lows being put into place over extended periods of time. So keep an eye on that purple line there as that main area of support. In terms of levels of resistance, keep an eye on that trend line right there. I would imagine a lot of people have drawn that trend line. So, a lot of people are going to be wondering if the price can get up there and push up through there. That might be a nice little sign of another leg of momentum to come to the upside. So definitely keep a close eye on that trend line. Next one, AMC. Overall, a very modest day. I don't say that in a bearish way. I don't say it in a bullish way because the price really didn't do a whole lot. Essentially just went sideways the entire day long, which does bring about an interesting level. So I'm still going to certainly leave this 1120 mark here because in my mind, that's an important level of support. But after today's, information and data that was given, very clearly this 1145 mark is certainly the very near term level of support. I mean, you can see numerous times there, but going back to Friday and then this morning and then this afternoon, the price just hovered right above 1145. So 1145 without doubt is going to be a level that a lot of people are watching. You're going to have longs watching that area as a potential bounce. You're going to have bears watching that area as a potential breakdown point to shorter pickup puts. But like I said, that just goes back to the core point that a lot of people will be watching 1145 as that's now made itself quite clear in terms of key technical levels. And if that 1145 area doesn't hold, then the next key level down there at 1120. In terms of levels of resistance, main areas to watch, again, nothing here has really changed. Still going to want to watch that purple line there, the 50-period moving average. And then if the price breaks up through there, you have that next level up there right around 1260, that red line. But in my opinion, at least, the most interesting dynamics here and probably the most watched dynamics will be how does the price behave at 1145. Next one, RDBX, another fantastic breakout today. This will mean a bit more to those of you that watched the video from Friday, but talked about this 550 mark, and you can see that during the opening 30 minutes right there. Got a great breakout through there, and up it went. Now, granted, it is pulled back some, and that's where the first update comes into play. And this update, based on a foundational rule in charting, which states when levels of resistance are broken and closed above, you ideally want to see them act as support. So moving forward, 550 now going to be that newest area of support. But this goes back to the whole idea of a perspective, meaning if you're some sort of day trader, flipper, scalper, and you were buying around here and your plan was to buy and sell within 10 minutes, well, then from that angle, the chart officially now looks really, really bad. However, if you're somebody that cares about more so the big picture, sure, there was a big pullback here. Nobody can deny that. But within the grand scheme of things, when you just look at, you have this support here, you have those sets of lows, you have those sets of lows, you have these sets of lows. And then if you envision each one of those as stair steps, what do you still have? Again, emphasis on big picture. Well, from the big picture, you still very clearly have these lows progressing higher and higher. So yes, today individually had a pretty big pullback after that, surge in the late afternoon. But overall, everything is still perfectly fine. The trend is still perfectly fine. But that's, again, all just dependent on what your personal strategy was going into the trade itself. Next, NIO, and kind of like AMC, a very mediocre day. But all in all, I would consider it a victory for the bulls because the price did originally break down through that green line there, which I talked about as support. So things were looking very sketchy, and I'm going to get rid of that line because the level that then revealed itself, which is not really that shocking, but was that pink line there, which on my chart denotes the very famous 200-period moving average. And that's why it's famous. I mean, check it out. Spent basically all morning long bouncing right along that area, and then finally did get some separation to the upside. So while that doesn't mean that it's guaranteed to hold, point here being is that is a very important level. So it was good to see that the price was able to hold strong at that level. And like I said, not only hold strong, but ultimately be able to, provide a bounce to the upside. So moving forward, as far as supports are concerned, $15.30, which is the value of that 200-period moving average, will be the most important level to watch. And then as far as levels of resistance are concerned, 2 minute, in fact, I'm just going to get rid of that line up there. Don't want to have too many lines everywhere. But first level will be that purple line there, 50-period moving average, which is currently valued at $16.15. And then the next key level, which I would argue is the much more important and much more, probably observed technical level, is up there at that $17 mark. But all in all things considered, not a terrible day, not a great day, but overall, good to see from a bullish standpoint that the price did bounce off of that 200-period moving average. Next one, PLTR, and overall the setup I think gets that much more interesting here because sure there wasn't a lot that happened today, but within the bigger pattern, which is what we're looking at here, definitely a whole lot happened because you just have another day where you have some more well-defined levels. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that level up there. And the most well-defined level that I would argue occurred today was that 50-period moving average, which you can see opening 30 minutes, big move up. What a surprise, got rejected right at that level. Made another bounce, What a surprise, right around that general area, got knocked back down. So while I'm not saying that that purple line can never, ever be broken, I'm just saying, and going back to the self-fulfilling prophecy topic, there's going to be just that many more people that are watching this level. So if I turn this into a trend line, and we call that our that was a pretty terrible line. Let's try that again. So if we call that, there we go, our resistance trend line, and we call that our support trend line, which I talked about previously, you have this little wedge pattern here that's forming, which brings about the big question of who is ultimately going to win in. And that's the whole idea of a watch list, right? A watch list is to find unique situations, to find situations that catch your interest, and then not just randomly buy them, but to watch them and see if they behave in a way that, you know, fulfills your strategy, whatever that may be. So as far as unique situations, interesting situations, in my mind, this is one that's worth at least keeping an eye on and seeing, do the bulls win out with a break to the upside, or do the bears win out with a break to the downside? That'll remain to be seen. But at the core, in my mind, it's an interesting situation. But of course, if you're like, no, Clay, that's not interesting to me, hey, I can respect that. Then I'd say don't put it on your watch list. It'd just be taking up space. But if you do find this interesting, then hey, worth at least keeping an eye on. Next one, DIDI, and this is why I like to do these when the market's still open, because as I speak, look at this thing, just having a brutal, as I speak, going down to new lows here, but a brutal final 30 minutes as I talk. So not exactly a good way to end the day at all, but what's making this an interesting situation here is, does the price get down to this area here at $1.37? Let me just make sure I'm not missing anything. Nope. And why is $1.37, an interesting level? And nothing fancy or important here, but you can see right here, the last time it got down there, very, very nice bounce. Now, let me be very clear, and I wish I could say trading was this easy. Just because the price bounced off $1.37 previously does not mean that for sure guarantee that if the price comes down here, it will for sure guaranteed bounce off that level. If only it were that easy. Now, is it plausible? Is it a valid thought to have that, hey, if the price gets down to that area, it could bounce? Well, yeah, that is more than plausible. Nobody could accuse you of randomly selecting an area, because in this situation, it has before. Doesn't mean it'll happen again, but our job as traders is to avoid random decisions. And by no means would this be random to think. And if you were to structure some sort of trade plan around a potential bounce off $1.37, which is now coming that much more closer in striking distance, as I talk here and we watch this final 30 minutes unfold, this thing is just getting that much more ugly headed into Tuesday. So yeah, if $1.37 comes about, will it bounce? Maybe that interests you, maybe it doesn't. But once again, going back to the whole topic of a watch list, that's the idea. Not just to rush out and buy, but to observe, to watch, and then if it ultimately does fulfill those criteria of your strategy, then potentially to take action with. Next one here, AMD, and going back real quick to why watch list. Well, let's find an interesting situation. So what is that interesting situation here? And this will mean a bit more to those of you that have watched the previous video, but the price is actually broken up through that trend line here that I discussed previously right there. So the breakout has happened. You had a good final 30 minutes. Look at that green candle right there. So that brings up the question of, okay, is this breakout the start of something bigger? Now, think about it. In order for me to even be able to ask that question, what needed to happen? Well, something worthwhile. Okay, Clay, define quote-unquote something worthwhile. Again, that trend line breakout. Now, it's a two-sided coin. Maybe it's not the start of something bigger. Maybe this thing just collapses right down there. But again, it's a two-sided coin. So maybe this breakout is just getting started, and all of a sudden this thing's going to make a big move to the upside. And that's the idea of a watch list, is we've identified a unique situation. We got a trend line break, but is there more to come? Is this the start of something bigger? Well, the best we can do is watch, and then based on how it behaves in the coming days, you'll have to figure out whether or not it fits into your, trade criteria. But nobody can refute the fact that a good technical event has happened. A significant event has happened. So now let's keep an eye on it and watch it. Next one, TSLA Tesla. And I'm not patting myself on the back here, but I am going to pat charts on the back because this is something that anybody can do, which I'll turn into a quick plug. So definitely get signed up for that free class I'm offering. But for those of you that did watch not yesterday's video, but on Friday's video, talked about that red line at 680 as that main area of resistance. Check it out. You just can't make this stuff up. Big bounce, and look right where it got rejected, right at $680. So yes, it goes to illustrate the power of charts, but this also now segues into, you better believe this is going to be one of those self-fulfilling prophecy points that a lot of people are watching. So if the price gets up there and pushes up through it, no guarantees, but is it valid to think that that could create another surge to the upside, which, sends Tesla up to 700, if not more? In my mind, yes, that is a more than plausible scenario that could play out. But first, got to see if the price can even break up through 680. In the event there's any sort of pullback, still have this level down here at 631. But what I would say is more relevant here from a support standpoint, going, actually, I like this better now that I'm looking at it. Nice little miniature uptrend line right there. So from a support standpoint, that's another area that at least stands out to me. And I watch Tesla very closely. I try to, trade it on a daily basis. So for me, I'm very, now that I look at this and talk out loud with you, see that trend line, I like that quite a bit. So right around that 660 mark could be a very interesting level. And not that if 660 breaks, it's dropping all the way down to 632, but it does, a break of that level puts it into, this area of the chart that's got quite a bit of, kind of no man's land within it. But overall, those are going to be the main dynamics and main levels I'm watching on Tesla for Tuesday. So that wraps up and I'm still recording, but it looks like the camera's frozen. So that's awkward. You get a nice little view of me there. But anyways, that wraps up the video. And like I said earlier, if you enjoy what you saw and you want to learn more about this tool and how to use it and how it can be used to build consistency, then certainly get signed up for the class. Like I said, it'll be Thursday, June 2nd at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So certainly get signed up for it, and I hope to see you there. As far as these top 10 videos are concerned, if you enjoy this format, if you'd like for me to continue to make these videos, then do a couple things for me. Hit that like button, leave a simple comment, say hi, tell me what you traded today. But those two things can go a long way in communicating to me that you enjoy these videos. And as long as I know people are enjoying, then I will continue to make them. So hit that like button, leave a simple comment below. And like I said, definitely get signed up for that free class if you're interested in learning more.